Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with already Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hopefully, I messed around with some of this stuff this morning. Hopefully, I didn't mess anything up. Let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods here on this finally freaking Friday. And I am excited and I am hopeful. We've got some great news with the Cowboys, with OTAs, some things that I've heard that I'm going to make an inference about that I feel great about in the team. I'm also feeling great because it's going to be a busy day. In fact, I've already been rolling this morning between getting my coffee and getting the machine going, doing my research for my videos, getting this together, working on getting my equipment and stuff together. And for those who don't know, we are headed to Dallas tomorrow. I'm picking up an RV at 10 o'clock in the morning. My man, Brian Green, is coming down today to help me get packed up, helping to drive, helping to volunteer. And I tell you that, you know, this world has been crazy with COVID, with the war in Europe, with the price of gas, with so much tribalism and so much hate. You know, you feel like the world is coming to an end. But I tell you, thank you, Stuart, because Stuart has restored my faith and belief in all of us, because I see so much goodness because of Stuart, because of this situation. Sadly, the Stuart's no longer here. So many people who are coming together for somebody else that they don't know. The fact that Brian Green is leaving from, you know, outside Philadelphia to come down here, although getting away from Philadelphia, you might take any excuse to get away from Philadelphia. So maybe that's not him really giving up that much. You know, and to think about Randy Seitz and his son, you know, leaving his wife, going down to Texas and stuff. They're leaving tomorrow morning. They'll be there tomorrow. Then again, maybe his wife decide, you know what, I could use a break. Why don't you go help out? Maybe it's not really his giving up that much. But, you know, people donating and volunteering. Mark Torres said, man, I'm gonna come over. We're gonna cook some food and stuff for you guys. Make sure you're chowed down and stuff. There's so many people have come together the way our country used to do to help out others. And I'm very, very proud about going down and helping to fulfill one of Stuart Morrison's final wishes. And that is to make sure that Mama is taken care of. The second one is not on me. That's on Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. That's who that's on. And I got no control over that. I wish I did. But I've heard some things that do make me feel good. In fact, let me give a da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
Damn, Gina.
Shout out to Gina for sharing this late last night to me. Some different tidbits of information stuff. You know, and shout out to Gina and her daughter, as well as her daughter's boyfriend, Tyler. Another reason why I'm hopeful in this day and age where most kids wouldn't do jack. When Tyler and Bree come down and stuff, if I say, hey, could y'all give me a hand? Hey, sure, no problem. They jump right in to help to do anything in this stuff. And they are actually taking, Tyler graduates today. Congratulations, Tyler. And he is coming down here tonight to go help somebody else out. In fact, he's joining the Marine Corps, and his enlistment starts on my birthday, October 10th. So when I see young people that are willing to do this and do for others, I feel so good and feel hopeful about the future. I feel hopeful about the Cowboys because I kind of like seeing some of the things that I've been seeing. The fact that John Ridgway, the nose tackle, I'm going to call him a nose guard, is getting a little chippy in practice. That he got sent to the locker room early. This is guys saying, I'm coming to get mine. I'm staking my claim. I'm going to get some. I love that. I love that because this is not supposed to be physical. This is just OTAs. But if they're going after it like that right now, I say hoorah. I love it. Seeing Michael Gallup doing more and more work out on the field gives me some hope that maybe it won't be too far into the season before he actually plays. That maybe he's going to be okay. And now Mike McCarthy was having a conversation with Dalton Schultz, and we have exclusive footage of that conversation with Dalton Schultz. Mike McCarthy, Dalton Schultz.
You must think I'm a demon, huh?
I guess what you was doing, I was like business, right? Wasn't personal.
My brother, it's always business. Never personal.
Mike McCarthy said, it wasn't personal. It's just business. Just business. Now, here's what I do on this channel. Okay? What I do on this channel is I like to try to read between the lines and get what they may be trying to do. Because if you really pay attention, you can figure out a lot of things by what's said and what's not said and the way it's said. One, you can look at Mike McCarthy and say, damn, he's slimmed down a lot. He's looking, quite swift, skinny. Hell, I need to find out what diet he's on. What they've said is Tony Pollard is going to get more touches, but not at the expense of Zeke. Okay, let's dissect this for a second here. All right, first of all, if we go through the last half of the season, we didn't run the football very much. We weren't able to run the football very much. I don't believe in some of those games that we had 25 runs. We were very pass heavy. So the first thing you can say is if Tony Pollard's going to get more touches and Zeke's not going to get less, then that means they're going to run the football a little bit more, which means they should be more balanced. Or Tony Pollard will be catching the football more as opposed to taking running plays away. Those would be the two inferences. And seeing Tony Pollard, who's been lining up quite a few times in the slot, going out in motion and being a wide receiver, I think we can say that the offense is going to be more dynamic. The way the offense played the first half of the season, there were no problems until we had injuries. I know people will say, well, Dak regressed. Well, Dak had a messed up shoulder and a calf injury. Dak lost his tackle, Tyron Smith. Dak had two running backs that were lame because of a PCL and a plantar fasciitis. I know people won't put those things, and say, well, yeah, there's reasons why things happen. But also what happened was the creativity, and maybe it was because of the personnel that they had, didn't happen. And when your offensive line can't block and are constantly getting penalties, it limits some of the things you can do. If it's third down and 15 or third down and 20, you can't really do a whole lot of running in those situations. It's going to dictate what you're able to do because of the down and the distance and so on. I get some of that. But the Cowboys became the old Cowboys, which was very, very predictable. I love Zeke, and I don't think Zeke is washed up, as everybody says. A guy who's washed up was averaging 4.7 yards a carry before the PCL and 4 games with that PCL the first 8 games. When the offensive line went downhill, when Tony Pollard got hurt, those numbers went off a cliff. They just did. And again, everything is connected. It's the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone's connected to the hip bone. So is everything on the offense. When the quarterback goes down, with the calf injury, when your offensive tackle goes out, you're one of the best offensive linemen in football, your running game's going to suffer. When your running back has a plantar fasciitis and can't play, or a PCL tear, they're not going to be as effective. All of these things came together. But that being said, the Cowboys need to be less predictable. And one of the ways you do that is by making people wonder, is Tony Pollard running the football or is he catching the football? Are the Cowboys going to run the football this play or are they going to pass the football this play? And see, the more things you can make the defense have to cover, the more things the defense have to cover and respect, the harder it is because you can't cover anything. If the Cowboys come out in 12 personnel and every single time they run the football, that makes it easy for the defense because they know, oh, they got 12 personnel. We need a heavy package in there. We need 8 men in the box, and we're just going to go because that's the way it'll work. But if you're in 12 personnel, that sometimes shifts and makes it an empty backfield, and now you got 5 wideouts, you can't quite do the heavy personnel because you'll get burned. And that's what the Cowboys need to do, and that's what you can infer from what you heard from Mike McCarthy talking about Tony Pollard getting more touches. I'm going to play a little bit of the press conference from Mike McCarthy here while we get out of here, just to get a little taste of what he had to say.
I was
going to say, man, he got you, huh?
You know, David takes about 2 months off. You know,
Is that right?
He's probably Isle of Capri somewhere.
How much time will you take off?
He's in Alaska. He's
That's good.
He's in Alaska.
Good time to go to Alaska.
And Robot is in
Alaska to see Ava.
Nice.
Why do you do that? What are you laughing about?
You called him the Robot.
Who was that?
All right, can we get this going?
Let's go. I get the first question. My name's Mike's just out.
All smiles this morning.
He's healthy.
No CD and Noah are out today. You're able to work a lot of the young guys. What do you think of what Tolbert was able to do?
It was great to have him back out there. I thought, he's really had two really good days, Tuesday and today. So, yeah, this is, frankly, what we talked about at the team meeting. This is a great opportunity for the younger players to, practice more than anticipated. And also, it's a really good experience for our veterans, to get reps with those guys too. So, injuries are part of it. We're got a few guys that are nicked up, but it's been really good work.
Talk about the Schultz situation. And he didn't come to work this week. Will you expect him at minicamp next week?
Dalton?
Yes.
Yeah, I think clearly Dalton's situation. You have business situations that happen all the time in this league, and so I had a long talk with him on Friday about it. But we'll see what next week brings.
How some of those younger tight ends looking, the young room back there behind, how are they looking?
I mean, they're doing really good. This is a hard week. This is a hard week for the rookies. You have 8 installs. I know we talked about this last week. So, this week was 5, 6, and 7. So they've hit the wall in certain areas. And in the tight end group is obviously outside of quarterback is one of the more challenging positions to play just for the volume of scheme. But I think those guys have done a nice job. And I think the other part of it too is the special teams work. So I like what they're doing on special teams too.
How do you walk that balance between a guy, there's a business situation with Dalton, but you want to see him on the field? How do you come down with that?
I don't look at it as a balance. I think that they're two different entities. Business is business, and I'm in the business of winning football games. So we all have contracts. We all have these type of situations that come about. Timings obviously plays into these decisions and transactions, and now it takes you as a head coach. It takes you a few to get used to it. But I think you have to learn to separate things. And in this world, it's too competitive. There's too much work to be done, and Dalton deserves this position that he's in, and so hopefully we can get it worked out.
Do you take the mindset out of sight, out of mind? Worry about him when he's here?
Not necessarily. I mean, Dalton's been here. Dalton's been here every single day, since the season's been completed. So I don't think there's been a week where I haven't seen Dalton. So so I'm not worried about his commitment or what he's done. I mean, he's in great shape. If he was standing here, he'd tell you this is the strongest he's ever been. So he's put a tremendous amount of work into the offseason, and I think it's clearly why I separate it. It's business. It's business he's tending to, and it's understood. But to think that he hasn't done the work would not be accurate.
Before we get back to the team, you guys had a diversity summit here with high school coaches. Why was that important? And just talk about what you guys accomplished.
Well, I think it's always important, obviously to give back, and I thought it was a great idea. I enjoyed it. It's a great bunch of I don't say young guys, a couple of guys are my age, but just a great bunch of guys, and I enjoyed my time with them, and actually I think I went close to an hour, and even told them if some of these other speakers don't cut it, come back and get me. I'll go again, because I think just like anything, when coaches get in the room, we could talk forever. I mean, we're talking about practice schedules, for God's sake, So I think just to give insight, experience, and frankly, just a curiosity. I probably asked them as many questions as they asked me, just to, the challenges that they have, and things that they have to deal with in high school. And just like anything, we're all in a position that we can continue to learn. So I really enjoyed the interaction.
The NFL has the issue, obviously, with minority coaches and head coaches, and I think going to the grassroots level will help fill that pool.
Everything helps. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Everything helps. That's for sure.
I think anytime you can continue education, spread experience, and interact, there's only good that's going to come out of it. Even if you disagree on the approach or the aspects of the conversation. So yeah, I think it's all healthy.
Looked like there were a few veterans, JK, Lee Cooker, they were there but not participating. Is that like with an eye on mini camp, or just?
I'm sorry, is that with a?
Is it like, are you resting guys with an eye on having them ready?
No, just guys are dealing with things, and I mean, and frankly, this is not a bad time to get the young guys a little more work. So it's we're watching the reps, and if they got something minor, like we have a number of guys that are dealing with minor things and nothing major. So we're just being really smart this time of year, and frankly, with a 90-man roster, it works out.
Get the young guys some work.
You touched on it a little bit, but last week you said next week's going to be a grinder. Of course, next week is here. So do you factor in to the workload and the schedule and the installation that it's going to be a grinder, so you back off, or do you try to get a feel for where they are in terms of, can you see it?
Oh, no, definitely. I think if you keep track of the timing of practice today, I mean, today's practice, Monday's practice were clearly our shortest workload capacity of the whole off-season program. So that's by design. So my goal is clearly to get these 8 installs in, just to make sure our rookies and our whole football team's is totally exposed to everything that's going to be asked of them when we get back together in Oxnard, California. So, and we can get that done in the walkthroughs and that type of thing too. So the on the work is driven by the health and who's practicing that day, and it's just trying to be smart. Obviously the type of practices you have to run, because really the challenge this week, in my experience, has been, you have your harder installs, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then, you start resting your veteran guys a little bit. Now the younger guys are playing a little more, which has happened through attrition of injury. So now they're running some of the newer things, and it just, because let's be honest, practice today wasn't very good. I mean, it's just, there's some sloppy moments in it. Where on the flip side of that, Tuesday's practice was our best practice. So you're still going through that phase of on and off and trying to get things clean. And the challenge is it's a new install for the young guys. So yeah, this is kind of normal. We had some sloppy plays today.
How do you balance the physical?
All right, we're going to leave it right there. So the thing with Dalton Schultz, and this is, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing when some of the veterans are out. It gives the opportunity for some of the younger guys, because ultimately you're going to lose players. Football is a game of attrition. And, I think back to Boy Scouts. I remember when I was really young in Scouts, Scoutmaster asked a scout to come up to the front, and he had some rope. He said, "Here, tie these 2 pieces of rope together." So the first scout did. The second scout said, another scout, "Hey, come on up." He took those 2 pieces that the guy had tied together, gave him another piece of rope, said, "Tie that together." Boom, okay. Called up a third scout. Third scout comes up And he does the same thing. He took the two pieces, the two ones that were already tied together, or three pieces that were tied together, says tie this together. He then takes the scouts and say, all right, hold this rope. That rope is only as strong as the weakest knot. And that's what we have to understand for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are only as good as the weakest link that's out there. And that's the mentality that we have to have, and I wish that Stephen Jones would understand as he's penny pinching and knowing that we have now a hole with Devontae Bond getting injured and lost for the season, that we definitely have a hole and a need and a lack of experience at linebacker that we need to fill. And we could have that same situation on the offensive line and other places. And this is the problem with football is there's so many things that you have to plan and contend for. And if you miss one of them, it changes the season. Because the difference of winning the Super Bowl, you got about this much space of everything going right and falling your way. That you cannot allow injuries or lack of experience to destroy your season. And with that being said, I got a lot of stuff to do today. My machine upstairs probably finished cutting the first piece. I'll get that one off and get the next one loaded up so it starts cutting. I got to finish some more pieces and get them ready to go out shipping-wise. I got to get everything ready for company to come in here. I got chicken wings that I need to get. I just got to get to work. So you know how we roll. It's time to roll.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Sports Report.